Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
Enhancing your leadership as a personal brand. That is today's topic of conversation. So if you have the skills necessary to become an effective leader, great. If you don't, this is a video and podcast that you want to be paying attention to immediately. So without further ado, I want to introduce a great guest for today's show. We met up on LinkedIn, and he is a leadership speaker, trainer, coach, dedicated to helping people achieve greater results through effective leadership. I want to welcome to the show, Dave Rudin. What is going on, my man?
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me on. This is awesome. I'm excited about this. About the chance to be able to talk to you and your listeners and stuff, and see how we can add value to them today.
Appreciate it, man. Listen, I found you on LinkedIn, and I was reading your LinkedIn profile, and I was very impressed. I have a few clients that went through the John Maxwell program as well, so I knew you're a good egg. Because all of those folks are good eggs.
All together.
Yep. So for those folks that don't know who Dave Rudin is, let's just give them a quick 3-4 minute bio, so it wraps some context around who you are. And
Sure. Yeah. So what I tell people these days, especially, is really what I do is, as you described, I speak and train and coach around the idea of leadership, believing at my core that the best thing that we have going in our organizations and our businesses, it's not our product, it's not our services, it's not the delivery mechanisms that we have, it's our people, it's us. And so I believe in my core that we have to develop ourselves and develop other people in order to get greater results. And leadership is just like that line, that it's that thread that goes throughout everything. So I've had experience for years in a lot of different realms, from the nonprofit world to the faith-based world to the Chamber of Commerce world and boards and organizations and companies. And it doesn't matter where you're coming from, it doesn't matter the size, it doesn't matter the product or service or direction. It really the common thread is people. And so I've become a lover of people, and I'm fascinated by people. I'm one of those guys, I like watching people at the not creepy, but watching people, like at the airport. I'm fascinated by people, and so that's the one common denominator that we have throughout all organizations, all businesses, is the ability to get along and to lead and influence other people. And so that's my background that way, of just wanting to add value into people.
I love it. I love it. So let's get into some leadership skills, right?
Sure.
So what are some key leadership skills that a solopreneur, a personal brand, a coach, a speaker, those folks that have purpose-driven brands that want to create an impact, want to influence other people for the better, and level them up? So what are some leadership skills that we must possess in order to be effective?
Yeah, instantly the first thing that comes to mind is communication. And it's not communication from being upfront speaker, not that kind of thing necessarily, but it's the ability to be able to communicate with people. And so we've been throwing around John Maxwell. So as my mentor, business partner in that, he wrote a book, Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect. And so we teach about how important it is in our communication. Think about with the social media and all the different advertising and magazines and books and billboards and everything, all the communication that we get, that we're bombarded with all the time. But the key is what gets through. What are those things that get through? And it's only the people that are able to connect with others that their message gets through. Because man, we're inundated. We all know.
So how does one connect effectively?
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I really think it comes from, it's an attitude, it's a perspective. And the first thing is, it's that you make it's not about you. It's about other people. It always has to be about other people. And I think when you go in, so my background in the Chamber of Commerce, we used to talk about how people would go into networking meetings, and they would have a stack of I got a stack of business cards right here. So a stack of business cards, and they're like a sprinkler, just just all over the place.
Or at the strip club.
Yeah, well, that too. That too. But that's making it about you. It's not making it about them. And so we teach people to go in and learn how to ask great questions. I think that's a key part of connecting with people, is not telling. What do they say? Telling is not selling. And it's learning how to ask questions and find out where the other person's coming from. What's going on in their life? What's going on in their business? What's their why? And when you start to do that, that's really what charisma is. It's that ability where people look at you and when they walk away from you, they feel like they're the most important person. Like you've made them to be the most important person. And you've not made it all about you. I think that's how you connect with people. Think about that. Think about the reverse of that. When people come up to you and it's all about their product, it's all about their timetable, it's all about what they got going, it's all about here's what I can do for you, kind of a thing, and give you this or get you to buy this. There's something there's like a barrier to that. Like we just instinctively just kind of pull back, like whoa. But when you go in and you're able to ask questions and show, people genuinely want to know, do you care about me? Can you help me? Can I trust you? Those fundamental questions that people are asking all the time in any exchange. And so when you can go in and lower that guard by showing that you really do care about that other person, you can't add value to other people if you don't value them. And when you're talking over them all the time and you're just bombarding them with your latest stuff, I think it's certainly a way to disconnect with people. It doesn't endear you to them.
Yeah, I think all of the leaders that I've really appreciated and respected in my career and in my past, they were great listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
They were great
listeners.
What it is.
That's what it is. What is it their parents used to always say? You got 2 ears and one mouth. So you listen twice as much as you talk. And I think that's one of the things I've learned in the entrepreneurial side of things is our first reaction is to talk. When you go into a sales environment and you're selling, you want to sell your product. Of course, you want to sell your product. You want to sell your service. But it's counterintuitive to think we should listen more than we talk.
Yeah.
And find out what are their needs. I was just meeting with a business partner yesterday, and we were talking about how to connect with people with a new opportunity that we have. And it all comes back to being able to find out and echo back to people that we hear what their pain point is, what their need is, what their real struggle is, what their obstacles are. And you can't echo that back if you haven't shut up long enough to listen and if you haven't asked the right questions instead of telling. But that's hard. That's hard for all of us.
It is.
We're excited about what we're doing and we want everybody to know about it, but it's, you got to kind of sit back and listen sometimes.
So let me ask you this. What are some common, besides talking too much,
which we've both been doing great at right now.
Right. Like, what are some common pitfalls for solopreneurs, personal brands that break that leadership quality, that tarnish that leadership quality?
Here's a thought. I don't know if this. There's one thought that I have with that I think that a lot of solopreneurs, especially, get into is the problem that we all have, but I think where it shows up is our lack of patience. We want everything fast. One of the premises of everything that I do, I teach. We talk about the law of the process. That growth doesn't happen in a day; it happens in what we do every day. And I think where I'm going with that is that I think that because of our lack of patience, we want things fast. And as a solopreneur, you're like, man, I got bills to pay. I got to sell stuff. I got to get out there. I got to make. And so we've got that going, and that runs counterintuitive. It runs counter to our real need sometimes to slow down. And so when you slow down, you're able to really listen to people. And I think that's the problem. I remember I tell a story about years ago. I was a young leader and I was really task oriented and I had some stuff to do. And there was a group of people and I saw a guy that I needed to connect with because I had to get some information from him, or I don't even remember what it was all about. And he was talking to somebody else. And I walked up to that meeting and to their little talk and just kind of bombarded into that and started talking to him and asking him questions and sharing information with him. And I walked away, didn't think anything about it until a couple of days later. I got a very nice but straightforward note from the lady that he had been talking to. And she just said in a very gentle, kind, mentoring, motherly kind of way, like, I don't know if you realize what you just did, but you walked in on a conversation and you didn't even acknowledge me. You didn't even acknowledge that you walked into that. And I said, man, that was a great lesson. I mean, that was probably 15, 20 years ago. And I still remember that to this day. And I remember that note. I don't think I kept it, but I should have. But the lesson was learned is that my impatience made me just want to get task oriented, and I forgot about people.
I love it, dude. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So listen, as we start to turn the corner here, I want to get into the doc's prescription. And you said a few things that I really want to highlight and tell people this is exactly what you need to be doing. So first and foremost, guys, an effective leader will listen far more than they will speak. So don't be the guy or gal that's constantly barking orders and talking over your team, your colleagues, your mentors. Like, if you want people to help you get you to where you want to be and become, the more listening you do, the quicker you're going to get there. Okay? I struggled with this for years. My mom, she had the gift to gab, God bless her soul. But man, when she gave that to me, I took that and ran with it. Sometimes I ran a little too hard with it. And I had to, you realize that you gotta step back and you gotta let people talk. You gotta because any effective leader, like I mentioned before, they listen and you can feel them listening to you. That is a strong leader. The other thing that Dave said that I want to highlight is patience. But I want to add to that as well. I think a lot of people, when they get into a leadership role or they start to get a lot of momentum with their business, they get a little ego. Okay? And that ego makes them even more impatient because now they think who they are and now they start to demand things, right? And I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to treat the janitor the same way you treat the CEO. I have a very accomplished uncle. And that was one thing that I pulled from him that I admired. He treated his laborers. He owns a big construction company, but he treated the guys that were digging holes with shovels the same way he treated executives on the Turnpike Commission. You could see it. You could see it clear as day. And so really pay attention. Keep that ego in check. Keep it in your back pocket and maintain that patience. Because if you want to build a team around you so that you can scale, you're going to have to invest in people, like David said. You're going to have to invest in that communication. You're going to have to invest in those people. And those people are not going to be robots and get everything right every time. I'll give you a quick example. We had an Instagram ad go out. I have a video editor. He does a lot of great video editing for me. And we had an Instagram ad go out and it had a typo in it. And let me tell you something. People are not forgiving with that stuff. Right? So I put it out on LinkedIn and I got hammered, right? And the guy was like, I don't trust ads that have typos in them. You're right. I don't either. So I went out and I went back to my team and I say, I take full responsibility. I didn't see it. And actually, I was the one that made the misspelling in the beginning. So I'm not blaming you guys, but we are a big brand on social media, and I put myself out there the best of my ability, especially from a branding expert positioning type of guy. If I'm putting stuff out there with misspellings, what does that say about my brand? Right? What does that say about my business? So everything matters. So I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I just said, we need to triple check things now because this is our reputation, right? So it was just the way that I could have went at them and barked and screamed and hollered and pointed fingers, right? Oh, you should have checked this. I hear it all the time. No, Henry, it's your business. It's your brand. It's your responsibility. So really understanding that is a true leader, right? We are responsible for everything inside of our business, whether it's the guy building your website or the guy, you know, setting up your Facebook ads, whatever the case may be. It's our responsibility because we are communicating to them. Okay. So let's get into the questions from the community. I love this part of the show. Today's question is, how do you negotiate for higher prices when you're still small, when you're just starting out and your results aren't consistent? So I'll share with you what I would do, and hopefully this will help some of you guys. So when I'm talking with a prospect, I am not talking about price right up the bat. I have enough pre-qualifiers, like on my website. When you go to book a call with me, it says right there, Henry typically works with entrepreneurs that are making $10,000 a month in revenue. So they already have the inclination that I'm not going to be cheap. Okay. So pre-qualifying, right? But when I get on the conversation with the person, I say to them, what are you looking to do this year in revenue? And so they'll say, let's keep the numbers easy. 100 grand. Okay. You want to make 100 grand this year. Great. Now, what are you willing to invest as a percentage into that 100 grand for you to achieve it? So I'll get numbers like 20%, 30%. I'll get some cowboys that say 40%. And I'll say, okay, fantastic. So you're willing to spend 20 to 40 grand to help you get 100. And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So I don't have preset, pricing, right? I will base my pricing based on the value.
There you go.
That they want, that they see. So if I develop your brand, how much is that worth to you? How much is it worth to you? So I let them do that, right? And had I known this earlier on in my career, I'd be doing this interview on like a yacht. But, honestly, I'm serious. Like, it is the truth. So it doesn't matter so much. Now, mind you, you have to have a good, solid product and service. Like, don't come out there with nonsense, because the last thing you want is a disgruntled client that's unhappy with the process and is just going to tear you apart. Like, make sure you have a really good product out there first, okay? Then get into the value conversation, and that is, the question that I just asked, and start to have that conversation, because that price is either going to work for you or not work for you. So it's completely up to them. So they will dictate the price, but you have the option to saying yes or no. So, Dave, how would you tackle that?
Yeah, that's great. There were a couple of thoughts. The first thing that came to mind was when it's an issue of that personal worth and understanding about ourselves, and I think that is that's a mind game, because you've got that stinking thinking that we all battle. That said, oh man, I'm not good enough. Why would somebody want to pay me for this? And those are, that's worth dealing with, that kind of stuff. Like, where does that come from? And that whole deal about our subconscious mind and changing what we think changes what we believe, and when we change what we believe, it changes what we do, and we change what we do, we change our results. But it all goes back to what we think. So I think that that's where the game was won or lost. We're going through a thing right now with some of my mentors on John Allen. What's his name? I was going to say John Allen's book. As a Man Thinketh. That whole idea about that as you think, that's what happens. That's what comes out. And so I think that is a game that is won or lost in the battleground between our ears.
I love it, dude. You're so right.
James Allen,
how we see ourselves is how, our clients will perceive us, our audience will perceive us. So if we don't believe in ourselves, what makes them think they are?
Of course. And that's what I talk about, is that other people may not believe in you, and you may or may not be successful, but you'll never be successful if you don't believe in yourself.
That's it, man. You should be in competition with yourself and no one else.
Yeah.
Right. And keep leveling yourself up. Keep investing in you, because that's the best investment you can. So, Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Where can people learn more about you and what you do and how you help them?
Sure. Yeah. Our website is Chicago LP. It's Chicago Leadership Partners. ChicagoLP.com is probably the best way. And to connect there. We do, like I said, speaking. We do training and workshops and for individuals. And we've got a program that we launched this year that, man, I am so excited about. It's called Passport to Growth. And it's all about this idea. And it's about helping people on a weekly basis have a weekly check-in where they're learning and they're growing. And we do a live call with Q&A and teaching. And we're just looking to expand that now. We're going to do some online training and things. So that's passporttogrowth.com. You can find that. But those are a couple places right there. Look me up.
Love it. David, thank you again for coming on the show. What an amazing individual. And thank you for all the insight you shared with us today.
My pleasure, Henry. Thank you so much.
There you have it, guys. Another show in the books. So real quick before we leave, one, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on iTunes, please take a second and write a quick little written review for us. Drop some comments if you are on YouTube and you are looking for some additional follow-up conversations. If you have questions, concerns, that's what the comments are for. And last but not least, guys, if you haven't checked out the Brand Yourself course, the link is in the description and show notes. This is the blueprint and game plan to help you build a profitable and reputable personal brand. I essentially took 13 years of my entrepreneurial career and jammed it into this training. And I can promise you, I left no rock unturned, from everywhere from digital marketing strategy to building and defining yourself, to defining your ideal audience, to how to sell yourself once you come to market, right? Everything is in this training. So I would highly suggest you go and enroll in that course right now if you really want to get the blueprint and stop the guesswork. So have an amazing day, guys, and I will catch you on the next one real soon. Take care.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesigns.net.